My daughter didn't even scream at first, she just froze. 1 second she was quietly coloring at the restaurant table, and the next, HOA Karen's hand shot forward, grabbing her shirt and ripping it straight down the middle like she was tearing a piece of paper. The sound echoed across the entire dining room. My daughter's little chest was exposed, her face turning red with shock, shame, and fear. She hugged herself, trembling, whispering, "Daddy, why did she do that?" Karen stood over her, chin lifted, eyes blazing, yelling loud enough for everyone to hear, "Kids like her don't belong here. Learn some respect." People stared. Some recorded. Some whispered. But not one person stepped forward. Karen thought she'd humiliated my daughter forever. But what she didn't know was that the truth about why she targeted my daughter would tear her entire world apart tonight. What happened in that restaurant wasn't just an outburst, it was cruelty that no child should ever experience. As my daughter stood there shaking, clutching the ripped edges of her shirt, I realized something chilling. Karen didn't act out of anger. She acted out of recognition. She knew something about my daughter, something she never expected to come out. Before I begin the full story, I want to ask you something important. AAP Mary Video Kiss City Essie Deck Raihain? Please comment your city name below. I love seeing where everyone is watching from across the USA and the world. Or stories start Karn SE Pelli, Ek Chodi SI request, Channel KO subscribe Zero or Cardine, Top Jab, main AC real life justice stories post Karun, AP Koi update Miss Nakarian. Alright, let's begin. Dinner was supposed to be simple. Just me and my daughter at our favorite local restaurant, warm lights, soft music, and a corner booth where she always loved to sit and draw while waiting for her food. She had been excited all day. She'd even dressed herself, choosing the little sky blue shirt her mother bought her on her last birthday. Everything was normal, everything was peaceful, until she walked in. HOA Karen, our neighborhood's walking storm. The woman who believed rules existed only for others, never for her. But that night, her rage wasn't random. The moment she saw my daughter, her eyes tightened, her jaw clenched, and she marched to our table like she already had a target. I had no idea why. I had no idea what she thought she knew. But I was about to learn the truth, and it would flip the entire neighborhood upside down. What happened in that restaurant wasn't just an outburst. It was cruelty that no child should ever experience. As my daughter stood there shaking, clutching the ripped edges of her shirt, I realized something chilling. Karen didn't act out of anger. She acted out of recognition. She knew something about my daughter, something she never expected to come out. Before I begin the full story, I want to ask you something important. AAP Mary Video Kiss City Essie Deck Raihain? Please comment your city name below. I love seeing where everyone is watching from across the USA and the world. Or stories start Karn SE Pelli, Ek Chodi SI request, Channel KO subscribe Zero or Cardine, Top Jab, main AC real life justice stories post Karun, AP Koi update Miss Nakarian. Alright, let's begin. Dinner was supposed to be simple. Just me and my daughter at our favorite local restaurant, warm lights, soft music, and a corner booth where she always loved to sit and draw while waiting for food. She had been excited all day. She'd even dressed herself, choosing the little sky blue shirt her mother bought her on her last birthday. Everything was normal, everything was peaceful, until she walked in. HOA Karen, our neighborhood's walking storm. The woman who believed rules existed only for others, never for her. But that night, her rage wasn't random. The moment she saw my daughter, her eyes tightened, her jaw clenched, and she marched to our table like she already had a target. I had no idea why. I had no idea what she thought she knew. But I was about to learn the truth, and it would flip the entire neighborhood upside down. The moment Karen ripped my daughter's shirt, time didn't just slow down, it shattered. I remember seeing the thin blue fabric falling apart in her hands like it was happening underwater. My daughter gasped, eyes wide, lips trembling, trying to cover herself. Her small fingers could barely gather the torn pieces. She whispered, "Daddy, please." That sound, soft, broken, stabbed me deeper than any knife. I shot up from my seat, so fast the chair scraped across the floor. "What is wrong with you?" I roared, but my voice cracked with disbelief more than anger. The entire restaurant went silent, forks frozen mid-air, conversations dying instantly. The soft jazz background music was the only sound still playing, but even it felt ashamed for continuing. Karen didn't flinch, not even a blink. She stood like she had every right in the world to do what she did. Her chin lifted, her arms folded, her stance wide and hostile. She was staring at me. She announced to the restaurant, "Didn't your daughter's mother teach her manners?" "Oh, wait," she paused with a smirk. "I forgot. There is no mother." My daughter's breath hitched. My hands curled into fists. This wasn't just cruelty. It felt personal. "Keep my wife out of your mouth," I said, my voice low but shaking with fury. "And explain to me why you put your hands on my daughter." Karen scoffed loudly. "Explain? To you? Please. I don't owe you anything. Your daughter needs to learn boundaries." She kept looking at me and whispering, "Kids like her." "Kids like her what?" I snapped. Karen stepped closer. "Kids like her shouldn't be in public places dressed like." She stopped mid-sentence, her eyes flicking down to my daughter's chest. My daughter curled into herself, even tighter. That was it. I took off my jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders, pulling her into my arms. She pressed her face against me, overwhelmed, embarrassed, shaking so hard I could feel her heartbeat through my shirt. "Daddy, I didn't do anything. I promise," she sobbed. "I know, sweetheart," I whispered, stroking her hair. "I know." Karen rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, please, stop teaching her to be dramatic." I barely touched her. That shirt was cheap anyway. A few people murmured in disgust. One woman muttered something like "monster," and another reached for her phone, like she was going to call someone, but Karen shot her a glare that made her freeze. Karen had a reputation. Everyone knew it. But tonight, she crossed a line she couldn't step back from. I turned to the restaurant manager, who was hovering near the kitchen doorway, looking torn between calling the police and hiding in the freezer. "Are you seriously not going to do anything?" I asked. The manager swallowed hard. "Sir, Karen cut him off. "Oh, don't bother. He won't do anything. I've already spoken to his corporate office about the little food permit violation they found last month. If he wants this place to stay open, he knows better than to take sides." The manager wilted. It was the first time I realized how much control she had and how many people she'd bullied into silence. I lifted my daughter into my arms. She was light, too light, like fear had drained every bit of strength out of her. Her small hands clutched my jacket, still shaking. "We're leaving," I said, "and you're going to pay for what you just did." Karen laughed, a loud, fake, mocking laugh that echoed across the dining room. "Pay? Oh, sweetheart, I didn't even start." My daughter buried her head deeper into my chest. Before I could respond, someone at a nearby table, an older couple, stood up. The man shook his head in disbelief. "You've gone too far this time, Karen," he said. "That child did nothing to you." Karen turned, venom dripping from her voice. "Stay out of this, Richard." But he didn't back down. "That girl has been through enough already." A strange silence followed. A heavy, meaningful silence. My chest tightened. Already? What did he mean already? Karen's face changed, just for a split second, a flicker of panic. A flicker she tried to hide by clenching her jaw. I stepped closer. "What is he talking about?" Karen glared at the older man again. "Richard, keep quiet." "No," he said firmly. "Not this time." He looked at me, eyes softening toward my daughter. "Sir," he said quietly, "your daughter, she looks just like—" "Enough!" Karen screamed. The entire restaurant jumped. She stormed toward him, pointing a sharp, shaking finger. "You say one more word and I swear." But the older man didn't budge. "He deserves to know why you've been targeting that child since the moment you recognized her." Recognized her. The word echoed in my skull. Recognized her. My daughter tugged at my jacket, her voice tiny and scared. "Daddy, what are they talking about?" Karen looked around, wild-eyed now, like secrets were spilling out faster than she could contain them. For the first time that night, she looked afraid. I felt a cold wave roll down my spine. "What are you hiding?" I asked her. "What do you know about my daughter?" Karen's lips pressed into a thin line. She had no snarky comeback, no insult, no laugh, just fear. That fear told me everything. She knew something she wasn't supposed to know, something she never expected to come out. Finally, she spit out the only defense she had left. "I don't have to explain anything to you," she snapped, but her voice was weaker now. "Just keep your daughter away from me." I stepped forward again, shielding my daughter with my arm. "She's a child. You attacked her, and you're going to explain yourself. Now." Karen's teeth clenched. Her fists balled at her sides. "You don't understand." "Then make me," I said. A beat. A long, tense beat. And then Karen whispered something I never expected. She reminds me of someone." My heart thudded. "Who?" Karen's eyes darted around the restaurant, as if every wall had ears. "Someone from before you moved here," she said. "Someone I thought was gone forever." That was the moment everything changed. That was when I realized this wasn't just about a ripped shirt, or a dinner fight, or Karen's ego. This was about a past I didn't know existed, and a secret Karen had been hiding from the entire neighborhood. A secret connected to my daughter, and I was about to uncover every piece of it. The restaurant felt smaller, suddenly, like the walls were closing in, trapping all of us inside a truth none of us were ready to face. My daughter clung to my neck, like she was trying to disappear into me. I stroked her hair gently, but my eyes never left Karen. "You're going to explain," I said quietly now. Not yelling, not angry, controlled, calculated, dead serious. The type of tone that makes liars stumble. Karen swallowed hard. Her gaze dropped to the floor, then flicked back up, cold, defensive, unstable. "There's nothing to explain," she muttered, but her voice trembled. Everybody could hear it. Richard, the older man, stepped closer, gripping the back of his chair with shaking hands. "Stop lying, Karen. It's time. You've hidden this long enough." "Richard, shut up," she hissed, her words sharp enough to cut steel. But Richard didn't flinch. Not this time. He looked at me again, his voice softer, almost apologetic. "She looks just like her." "Like who?" I demanded. That question hit the room like a hammer. Every head turned. Even the waiters stopped mid-step. Karen's breath hitched. Her fingers twitched. Her eyes darted toward the door, like she was calculating an escape. But before she could move, my daughter spoke. "Daddy, did I do something wrong?" I hugged her tight. "No, sweetheart. Absolutely not." Karen flinched at those words, like hearing kindness hurt her more than anything. Richard cleared his throat. "Sir, may I ask, how long have you lived here?" "About 8 months," I said. "And before that," he pressed, "another city." "Why?" Richard's jaw clenched. "Because before you arrived, there was a girl who lived in this neighborhood. A child. Kind. Quiet. Innocent. She used to walk past Karen's house every day to catch the school bus." Karen shut her eyes like the memory burned. Richard continued, "And she looked almost exactly like your daughter. Same eyes, same smile, same way of covering her chest when she was scared." My daughter's grip tightened around my jacket. "Where is she now?" I asked. Richard opened his mouth, but Karen beat him to it. "Gone," she snapped. "She's gone. And it's not my fault." The room froze. Gone. Not her fault. My stomach tightened. Gone as in what? She moved? She ran away? What are you saying? Karen looked down. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." "Try me." A long silence followed. Every breath in the room felt heavy, charged, painful. Finally Karen said, "There was an accident." Richard nodded slowly. "Yes, one that the whole neighborhood remembers." My daughter's voice was trembling. "An accident?" Karen looked right at her. "Not you, sweetheart. Not you." It was the first time she had spoken to my daughter without anger. Her tone was fragile, almost human. I stepped forward. "What happened to that girl?" Karen's chest rose and fell quickly, her breath uneven. I don't know. She vanished after that day. No one saw her again. No one heard from her. People whispered. Some blamed me. Some blamed her parents. Some blamed fate. What accident? I repeated. Karen's gaze flicked to Richard. Richard lowered his voice. She was playing outside one evening. Near the community garden, Karen came out yelling about some rule being broken, and then the girl— "Stop," Karen snapped. "Just stop." "No," Richard said firmly. "You've caused enough damage pretending none of this happened. That girl didn't deserve what happened, and neither does this one." My pulse hammered. What? Accident? Karen's shoulders sagged. Her confidence, her arrogance, gone. She fell, she whispered, into the road. A car was turning the corner. Fast. I felt my blood run cold. Richard whispered. Karen was the last adult to see her alive. The restaurant sucked in a collective breath. You think I killed her? Karen shot back, voice cracking. I didn't touch her. I screamed to warn her. I tried to help, but her voice broke. She pressed her hand against her forehead. I tried, she whispered. My daughter nuzzled my chest, confused, scared. My mind raced. A missing girl. A horrible accident. A face my daughter apparently resembled. But why did Karen react so violently tonight? Why rip my daughter's shirt? Why lash out like she saw a ghost? Unless— Karen, I said softly, how did the girl fall? She froze. Richard stepped in quietly. Karen accused her of breaking HOA rules. The girl was scared of her. Everyone knew that. When Karen approached shouting. I wasn't shouting. Karen shouted. The irony made half the restaurant flinch. Richard ignored the interruption. The girl panicked. She stepped back and into the road. My daughter's breath hitched. She hugged me harder, burying her face in my shoulder. Karen whispered, "It was an accident, a terrible one." I studied her face, her trembling hands, her cracking voice. This wasn't guilt about being blamed. This was guilt about something deeper. Why were you so triggered when you saw my daughter? I asked. Karen looked at my daughter again, really looked at her, and her eyes filled with something unsettling grief. Because, she whispered, she looked at me the same way that girl did. The same way she looked at me right before she fell. I felt my jaw clench. So, you ripped her shirt? I said bitterly. Karen's voice rose sharply. I thought she was mocking me. I thought someone put her up to it. That she was pretending to be her. You don't understand. Everyone blamed me for that accident. Everyone whispered behind my back. Every kid in this neighborhood avoided me. Every adult blamed me for years. I lost sleep. I lost friends. I lost everything. And you think that gives you the right to attack a child? I snapped. Her eyes flooded with tears, though she fought them violently. No, it doesn't. I know that. But when I saw her, I panicked. I thought— She swallowed hard. I thought she came back. My daughter peeked out from behind my jacket, her small voice trembling. I'm not her. I promise. I'm me. Karen covered her mouth with her hand. For the first time, she looked like a woman haunted by her own past. But something still didn't sit right. She vanished. I asked Richard. No funeral? No investigation? No closure? Richard hesitated. The parents left town. Immediately after. They didn't speak to anyone. They didn't even pack properly. They just drove off one night. Why? I asked. Richard lowered his gaze. Because they believed their daughter was targeted. My chest tightened. Targeted by who? Richard's eyes met mine, and he spoke only one word. Karen. The entire restaurant gasped. Karen shook her head violently. No. I didn't, I swear I didn't mean. But her panic said more than her words. And the truth was finally becoming clear. This wasn't just guilt. This was fear. Fear of being exposed. Fear of the past repeating itself. Fear that my daughter, my innocent child, was caught in the middle of a story I had never heard. A story that wasn't over. And something told me. The real truth was still buried deeper. And it was coming next. The restaurant felt colder after Richard's accusation. Like the air itself recoiled from the truth. Karen stumbled backward, as if his words had physically hit her. Her breathing grew fast and uneven. My daughter squeezed my hand, whispering, "Daddy, she looks scared." She did. Terrified, actually, terrified of the truth, finally crawling out of the shadows. Karen shook her head violently. "I didn't target that girl. I didn't. I was strict with the rules, yes, but I never wanted her hurt. And yet," I said quietly, "she disappeared after she ran from you." Karen covered her face with her hands. "It wasn't like that. You don't know what she was doing, what she was involved in, what a child was involved in." I snapped. Karen looked up, eyes red. "You think kids can't keep secrets? That they don't see things? That they don't hear things?" She knew something she shouldn't have. Something dangerous. My stomach tightened. This wasn't just guilt. This was fear. Richard stepped forward. "Karen, stop dancing around it. Tell him what the girl told you." Karen's jaw clenched. "I owe him nothing." I moved closer, daughter still in my arms. "You owe my child the truth. You owe every kid in this neighborhood the truth." Karen's gaze flicked to my daughter, those trembling hands, that soft, scared face, and something in her hardened expression cracked, like a wall collapsing. "Fine," she whispered. "Fine. You want the truth? Then listen." The entire restaurant leaned in. Karen's voice lowered, trembling with memory. "The girl, the one who disappeared, her name was Lila." The name hit the room like an echo from the past. "She lived 2 streets away from me," Karen continued. "She walked to school alone. She was quiet, but she noticed everything. Too much. One day, she saw something she shouldn't have." My daughter's fingers curled into my shirt. "Like what?" Karen hesitated. Her voice wavered. "A meeting. A meeting." I said. Karen swallowed. "Between 3 men in our neighborhood. Men who didn't want anyone knowing they were involved in something illegal." The room buzzed with shock. Richard whispered, "I told you to keep this quiet for your own safety." Karen spun toward him. "Quiet? Look where that got us." I stepped forward. "What were they doing?" Karen exhaled shakily. "Selling stolen property. High-end electronics, tools, even car parts. They used the HOA storage shed as a drop-off point. Lila saw them unloading a truck. They saw her watching." My heart pounded. A child, alone, walking home, witnessing a secret. "They confronted her," Karen said softly. "Chased her. Threatened her. She ran to the closest house, mine. She begged me to let her in. And I demanded." Karen looked defeated. "I did let her in. I hid her. I locked the door. The men banged on it, demanding I give her up. I refused. I told them I'd call the police if they didn't leave." "And did you?" I asked sharply. "I didn't have to," she said. "They ran. Fast. And Lila, she was shaking like your daughter is right now." I held my daughter closer. "She told me everything," Karen whispered. "Every detail. Every name. She said if she went home and her parents found out, they'd panic. She said they were already paranoid about something else. She begged me not to tell them. She just wanted someone to listen." "So you help her?" I asked skeptically. Karen nodded. "Yes. That day, yes. I gave her water. I calmed her down. I told her she could come to me any time if she felt unsafe." Richard stepped forward. "But you also knew those men were dangerous." "I did," Karen admitted. "And I knew if they found out she talked, they'd come after her again. Maybe worse." My daughter trembled in my arms. "Daddy, was she hurt?" Karen closed her eyes. "Not then. But 3 days later, she fell near the road. Or so everyone thought." I frowned. "Everyone thought?" Karen swallowed hard. "Because the truth is, I don't think it was an accident. I think those men came back for her." A hush fell over the room. Karen continued, voice cracking. "She told me she saw their truck again the evening she vanished. She said she was going to tell someone she trusted, and then she was gone." Richard whispered. Karen tried to ward her parents, but they refused to talk. They left town like they were being hunted. Karen looked at me, eyes hollow. I spent years blaming myself, thinking maybe I scared her. Maybe I pushed her too hard with the rules. but deep down, I knew someone else was involved. I stepped back, processing everything. Illegal activity, threats, a missing child, a neighborhood full of silence. And why? I asked slowly, did you react the way you did to my daughter? If she just reminded you of Lila, why rip her shirt? Karen wiped her eyes angrily, because she wasn't just a look-alike. Her voice dipped, trembling. She came into the restaurant earlier. Before you arrived, she walked past my table, humming the same song Lila used to hum when she was scared. The same exact melody. My daughter peeked up timidly. I hummed it when I'm nervous. Mom used to sing it. Karen's mouth fell open. Your mother? I nodded slowly. My wife used to sing a lullaby to our daughter every night. It was her favorite. What lullaby? Karen asked, voice barely audible. I told her. Karen looked like she'd been struck. That's the same one, she whispered. The same lullaby Lila hummed. The exact same tune. My daughter tugged my sleeve. Daddy, is that scary? I hugged her. No, sweetheart. Not at all. Karen shook her head. You don't understand. That song, Lila said her other mommy sang it to her. My breath caught. Other mommy? What do you mean by that? I asked. Karen hesitated, then whispered. Lila was adopted. My pulse thudded. Karen continued, but her adoptive parents never told anyone who her biological mother was. It was private, off limits. But the lullaby, that was the only clue. My daughter's eyes widened, her voice tiny. Daddy, did Mama know her? Karen's eyes filled with tears. If that lullaby is the same she just might have, Richard added quietly, your wife, where was she from originally? My throat tightened. A small town 2 states away. She passed away 3 years ago. Karen's face drained of color. She was young, wasn't she? Karen whispered, yes. And she gave birth early in her life? My heart pounded painfully. Yes. Karen covered her mouth. I think your wife might have been connected to Lila. Maybe even. She stopped. The word hung in the air. Unspoken. Heavy. My daughter clutched my shirt. Daddy, what truth is coming out? I looked at Karen, her terrified eyes, her trembling hands, her guilt, and suddenly everything clicked together. This wasn't just about a girl disappearing. This wasn't just about Karen's guilt. This was about a truth buried under years of silence. A truth my daughter was now tangled in. And before I could say another word, the restaurant door flew open, and one of the men Karen described stepped inside. His eyes locked directly onto my daughter, and he smiled. A slow, cold, chilling smile. Found you, he whispered. The real danger had just walked in. The moment that man walked into the restaurant, every instinct in my body screamed danger. He had that cold, predatory stillness, like he was a hunter and everyone else in the room was just background noise. His eyes locked onto my daughter with a familiarity that made my stomach twist. My daughter buried her face into my chest. Daddy, who is he? I whispered back. Someone who doesn't belong here. But inside, I was already preparing for the worst. Karen's breath caught, sharp and panicked. Oh God, not him. Not again. Richard stiffened beside us. That's one of the men from the shed. The man stepped forward slowly, lips curling into a smirk. You've grown, he said softly, as if speaking to an old memory, not a stranger's child. Didn't expect to see you again, not like this. My blood froze. Before I could respond, he casually reached behind his jacket, and the entire restaurant gasped. He wasn't drawing a weapon. He was pulling out a folded, worn photograph. He held it up. My heart stopped. It was a picture of a little girl, maybe 8 years old, standing near a school bus stop. She looked exactly like my daughter. Same hair, same eyes, same shy smile. That's her, he whispered. The same girl from years ago, the one who saw too much. Karen grabbed a table for support. That's Lila's picture. Why do you still have that? The man ignored her. He stepped closer to us, voice smooth, low, chilling. See, we knew she didn't just disappear. We knew she'd resurface eventually. Kids like her never stay hidden forever. I held my daughter tighter, shielding her with my entire body. Stay away from her. The man chuckled. Relax. I'm not here to cause trouble, yet. I just want to talk. Karen snapped. You're lying. You never just want to talk. Leave them alone. He shot her a glare. Ah, HOA Karen. Still playing neighborhood god, I see. Karen shrank back. The man turned his attention back to me. You said you're her father. Yes. Funny, because Lila's records show her father died before she was 2. My jaw clenched. My daughter trembled. Whispers rippled across the restaurant. Karen whispered to me, voice shaking, Don't listen to him. He twists everything. But the man wasn't done. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. She looks just like her. She hums the same song. She even holds the same stuffed bear when she walks into town. My stomach dropped. The bear. My daughter's favorite one. One that belonged to her mother before she passed. I'm giving you one chance, I said firmly, to leave. He smirked. If she's not Lila, prove it. My daughter looked up at me, eyes swimming with confusion and fear. Daddy, why does he think I'm someone else? Because he's wrong, I whispered. You're safe. I promise. But in truth, my hands were shaking. Karen suddenly stepped between us and the man. Stay away from that child. You did enough damage already. The man's smile vanished. His eyes hardened. You think hiding her years ago fixed anything? You just delayed the consequences. Karen stepped back like he slapped her. I did what I had to do. No, he said quietly. You interfered with our business. And that little girl paid the price. My daughter whimpered, Daddy, please take me home. But home wasn't safe now. Not if these men were still looking for a girl who disappeared years ago. I turned to the man, voice low and controlled. What do you want? He held up the photograph again. Answers. Well, you're not getting them here, Richard snapped. The man chuckled and looked around the room. Interesting. An entire crowd of witnesses, cameras, phones. Brave of you all to stand between me and what I came for. A few people lowered their phones nervously. The man smirked. Smart. Videos get people hurt. I stepped forward, positioning myself fully in front of my daughter. You're not taking her anywhere. He folded the photograph and tucked it back into his jacket. We'll see about that. He took a step closer. And then, something unexpected happened. My daughter pulled her head out of my chest and looked at him with this strange, nervous innocence. I'm not Lila, she whispered. I don't know you. The man's expression shifted just slightly. Not recognition. Not guilt. Something else. Confusion. He knelt down slowly, eyes softening. Say that again. I'm not her, my daughter said, voice shaking. I never saw you before. For a brief moment, just a flicker, his hard exterior cracked. Karen noticed it too. You see, she's not her. The man inhaled deeply, like he was trying to reassemble his anger, but couldn't quite manage it. What's your name, kid? He asked quietly. My daughter hesitated, then whispered her name. The man froze. His eyes widened, not in recognition, but in realization. That's not the name, he muttered. That's not her name. No, I said. It's not. He stood up slowly, glancing between my daughter's face and the photograph. His eyes darted, comparing features. Same resemblance, but small differences too. Karen pressed. Lila had a scar on her right eyebrow from a fall on the playground. Look at this child, she doesn't. The man scowled. Kids grow. They change. Not scars, Karen said. My daughter gently touched her eyebrow, confused. I don't have any scars. Something broke in the man's expression. A shift. A crack. A possibility he didn't want to acknowledge. That can't be, he whispered. I took a firm step forward. Are you done terrorizing my daughter? The man stepped back, shaken now. More shaken than anyone expected. This doesn't make sense, he muttered. Karen said, Maybe because you've been hunting the wrong child. The man glared at her. Don't push me. Richard stepped up, voice stern. You come near this child again, and you won't walk out as calmly. A tense silence filled the room. The man finally exhaled sharply, backing toward the exit. This isn't over. But something had changed. He wasn't leaving because he wanted to. He was leaving because he no longer knew what was true. As he reached the door, he paused, turning back toward me. "Check your wife's past," he said quietly. "Check every connection she had. Because if this child isn't Lila, then someone else out there might be." The door swung closed behind him. The entire restaurant exhaled at once. My daughter trembled, tears wetting my shirt. "Daddy, why did he think I was her?" I held her tighter than ever, because people with guilty pasts see ghosts everywhere. But as I looked at the photograph, still burned into my memory, as I remembered the lullaby, as I remembered my wife's silence about her early life, a terrifying thought crept into my mind. What if the past we just heard was only half the truth, and the other half was hidden in my wife's secrets? Because something told me this story wasn't about Lila anymore. It was about my daughter being the key to something far bigger. The restaurant slowly emptied after the man left, but the tension didn't fade with the crowd. If anything, the silence made it worse. Chairs scraped quietly. People whispered hurried goodbyes, glancing nervously over their shoulders as if the man might burst back in at any moment. My daughter gripped my hand like release meant danger. Karen stood rigid near our table, her eyes locked on the door long after he disappeared. Richard hovered protectively beside us, as if he finally understood the scope of what we had stumbled into. I kneaded my temples, thinking fast. "Karen, is there anything else I need to know? Anything you're still hiding?" She didn't speak immediately. She looked at my daughter, really looked, and something softened in her hardened face. "Yes," she finally whispered, "but you're not going to like it." My pulse picked up again. "Say it." Karen exhaled shakily. "The night Lila disappeared, before she fell, before she ran, she told me something about her mother." I froze. Richard frowned. "You never mentioned this." "Because I wasn't sure if it even mattered." Karen snapped, then softened. "Until now." My daughter wiped her tears. "What did she say?" Karen knelt down, not harshly, not angrily, but almost motherly. "Sweetheart," she said her mom used to tell her that if anything bad ever happened, she should follow the song. My breath caught. The lullaby. My wife's lullaby. Karen continued. "She said her mother told her it was their secret. A code. Something only family would know." My heart hammered in my chest. "Wait," I said. "You're telling me the lullaby wasn't random? It was a message?" Karen nodded slowly. "Yes, and when you told me earlier that your wife used to sing it, everything clicked. Because the girl said her mother hummed that same tune while rocking her to sleep." My daughter looked up at me. "Daddy, Mama's song?" I stroked her hair gently, but my hands were trembling. "Yes, sweetheart, Mama's song." Richard rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "What if your wife wasn't just singing a song she liked? What if it meant something to her? Something from her past?" The thought made my stomach twist. My wife never talked about her teenage years, never mentioned her family, or her life before me. It wasn't trauma. She just avoided it quietly, gently, as if the memories hurt too much. I always assumed she had a painful childhood. I never pushed. But what if it wasn't just pain? What if it was fear? Karen spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. "You said your wife had your daughter late in life." "Yes." "And before that she had another child?" My throat closed. She never told me that." Karen looked shaken. "But Lila was adopted, and the adoption records said the biological mother was a teenager who left no identifying information except one note." My pulse skyrocketed. "What note?" Karen swallowed. "It said, 'If she ever needs help, follow this melody.'" My daughter whimpered. "Daddy, I'm scared." I pulled her close, trying to stay strong while my world tilted. "You're safe. I've got you." Richard exhaled heavily. "So, are we saying your wife might have been Lila's biological mother?" Karen nodded, voice gentle. "It's the only explanation that makes sense." My head spun. If my wife was Lila's biological mother, Then the girl who disappeared was my daughter's half-sister. And the men who chased her, the men who wanted her gone, might think my daughter knew something too. My chest tightened painfully. This is insane, I whispered. Why would my wife give up a child? Karen's eyes softened. Teenage pregnancy. Fear. Lack of support. It happens every day. But the lullaby? That was her way of keeping a connection alive. A promise. And now, I asked. Karen looked toward the restaurant door. Now, the wrong people think your daughter is the one who witnessed their crime. My daughter clung to me. Daddy, am I in danger? I kissed her forehead. Not while I'm breathing. But inside, a new fear grew. If the man recognized the lullaby, if he knew the connection, then he wasn't done with us. Karen hesitated before speaking again. There's something else. Something you need to see. She reached into her purse with trembling hands and pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. The edges were worn, the ink faded from years of handling. This, she said, was found near the garden on the night Lila disappeared. I kept it because, I don't know, maybe guilt, maybe fear. I never showed anyone. Richard's eyes widened. Karen, you kept evidence. Karen pressed the paper into my hand. I didn't know it was evidence back then. It looked like a memory, or a message, and it felt wrong to give it to the police when they were convinced it was an accident. I unfolded the note. My heart stopped. It was a child's handwriting. Mommy, if I follow the song, will you find me? I hope so. I miss you. Love, Lila. My daughter whispered. That looks like my handwriting. It did. Terrifyingly similar. But what struck me hardest wasn't the handwriting. It was the small doodle in the corner. A drawing of a tiny musical note. The same musical note my wife used to draw on birthday cards, sticky notes, even grocery lists. The same symbol tattooed near her shoulder. The same one she scribbled absent-mindedly whenever she hummed. The lullaby. I sat down heavily, overwhelmed. My wife, the woman I loved, had lived an entire life before me. And a part of that life was still bleeding into the present. Karen spoke softly, almost regretfully. The night she disappeared, we heard a sound, a scream, a car. But when we ran outside, she was gone. No body, no witnesses, nothing. You think she's alive? I whispered. Karen looked uncertain. I don't know. Richard added, some neighbors swore they saw a black SUV speeding away, but the police dismissed it as panic. My head throbbed. And the men? The ones from the shed? Karen's voice shook. They left town after the accident. Didn't even pack. Just vanished. And now one of them is back. My blood ran cold. He came for my daughter, I said. No, Karen whispered. He came for the truth. The truth my wife took to her grave. My daughter tugged my sleeve gently. Daddy, am I like Lila? I hugged her tight. You're you, sweetheart. But we need to understand what's happening so I can protect you. Richard looked toward the windows. We need to get out of here. Now, before he comes back with the others. Karen nodded. I know a place. Somewhere safe. Somewhere they won't look. Where? I asked. Karen hesitated, then whispered. Lila's old house. My daughter shivered. Is someone there? Karen shook her head. No, it's been empty for years. But if there are answers anywhere, they're hidden inside that house. I lifted my daughter into my arms. Then that's where we're going. Karen placed a trembling hand on my shoulder. But listen carefully. What you find there may change everything you believe about your wife. I looked toward the dark windows, feeling the weight of reality settling over us. My wife's secrets, a missing girl, a dangerous man hunting answers, my daughter being mistaken for someone else, and a house frozen in time waiting for us. One thing was certain, the truth wasn't done with us yet. The drive to Lila's abandoned house felt like a journey into another lifetime, one my wife had hidden so completely I never imagined it would claw its way back into our world. My daughter sat quietly in the back seat, wrapped in my jacket, eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. Karen sat in the passenger seat, wringing her hands. Richard followed us in his own car, headlights trailing like a protective shadow. The neighborhood grew darker the deeper we drove. Houses thinned out. Streetlights flickered. The weight of secrets hung heavy in the air. Finally, we stopped in front of a small, worn-down blue house with boarded windows and a sagging porch. "This is it," Karen whispered. "Lila's home." My daughter clutched my hand. "Daddy, it looks scary." I squeezed her hand gently. "I'm right here." The front door creaked loudly as Karen pushed it open. The smell of dust and time rushed out. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing old furniture, toys scattered like someone had left in a hurry, and a drawing taped crookedly on the living room wall. My heart skipped. It was a drawing of a little girl holding hands with a woman, and above them, floating like a dream, was a musical note. "Oh my God," I whispered. Karen stepped closer, eyes shining. She drew that the night before she disappeared. My daughter walked toward the picture slowly, her little fingers reaching out. "Daddy, it looks like Mama." It did. The woman in the drawing looked so much like my wife, same long hair, same soft eyes, even the same necklace she always wore. A simple chain with a music note charm. Karen took a shaky breath. "There's more." She led us into the hallway, stopping in front of a narrow door. This was her room. When she opened it, my daughter gasped. The room had been left untouched. A small bed with faded pink sheets. A teddy bear missing one button eye. A small nightstand covered in scribbled hearts and stars. But what caught my attention was a journal lying open on the floor. I went still. A child's handwriting filled the page. "I saw them again today. The men who bring the boxes. I think they know I know. I'm scared. But Mommy said if anything ever happens, follow the song. Follow the song to her." My daughter looked up at me. "Daddy, did Mama know her?" "Really?" I knelt beside her. "Sweetheart, I think Mama knew more than she ever told us." Karen suddenly froze at the window. "Someone's outside," she whispered. A chill ran down my spine. Richard hurried into the room. "We need move. Now." But before we could react, the front door slammed shut. Heavy footsteps echoed through the hallway. Karen's face turned white. "It's him." My daughter hid behind me as the silhouette of the man from the restaurant filled the doorway. But he wasn't alone. Two more men stepped in behind him, cold, stiff, dangerous. "Evening," the first man said calmly. "Nice of you to visit the past. Saves us some effort." I positioned my daughter behind me. "You're not touching her." He held up the same photograph again, but this time his voice wasn't taunting. It was conflicted. "I know this isn't her," he said quietly, "but you know something we don't, and we want answers." Karen stepped forward bravely. "Leave the child out of this. We all know she's not Lila." One of the other men snarled. "Then tell us where the real one is." Karen froze. Richard swallowed hard. "No one knows. She vanished." The first man shook his head. "No, someone took her." A heavy dread settled in the room. "Took her?" I repeated. He nodded. "Her parents didn't run away because they were scared. They ran because she was kidnapped, and whoever took her never returned." Karen's voice cracked. "That's not what the police said." "The police don't know everything," the man said coldly. "We were told to stay quiet, told it was best for everyone." "By who?" I demanded. The man hesitated. Then he said a name I never expected. "Your wife." Everything inside me stopped. Karen clutched her chest. No, that can't be." I shook my head violently. "My wife died 3 years ago. She wasn't involved in anything." The man sighed. "Maybe not when she married you. But before? She was the only one the parents trusted. She knew their fears. She knew Lila's habits. And when the men threatened the family, your wife convinced them the only way to protect the girl was to get her out." My voice was barely a whisper. "Are you saying my wife took Lila?" He nodded. My daughter gasped. "Daddy, did Mama save her?" Karen covered her mouth. "The night she disappeared, Lila didn't run into the road. She ran toward a black SUV." The man continued, "Your wife's SUV." I stumbled back, overwhelmed. Memories flooded in. My wife driving late at night. Her fear of loud noises. Her secrecy about her past. Her late-night humming of the lullaby. She didn't kidnap her, the man said softly. She protected her. She took her somewhere safe. Somewhere even those men couldn't find. After that, the trail went cold. We never saw the girl again. My daughter tugged my sleeve. Daddy, maybe Mama saved her. Maybe she kept her safe until she died. Karen placed a gentle hand on my arm. If your wife saved her, then Lila might still be alive. Hope flickered in my daughter's eyes. Daddy, do I have a sister? My chest tightened. Maybe, sweetheart. Maybe you do. But the men weren't here for hope. The first man stepped forward. If Lila is alive, we need to find her. Not for us. For what she saw. The people involved bigger than us. Bigger than you. I shielded my daughter. You're not dragging her into this. He raised a hand slowly. I'm not. That's why we're leaving. But know this. Your wife left clues. And someone else is already looking for them. Richard whispered, urgently, we should go. Now. The men backed away, but the first man paused at the door. Check your wife's storage boxes, he said quietly, especially the ones with the music note symbol. She kept everything important there. He left. The silence afterward felt heavier than the danger. My daughter hugged me with all her strength. Daddy, what now? I exhaled slowly, looking around the room filled with my wife's shadows, her secrets, her protection, and possibly her unfinished mission. Now, I whispered, we follow the song. Karen nodded, tears streaming. Your wife wasn't running from her past. She was protecting it. Richard added, and now it's your turn. I picked up the photo of Lila. My daughter held my hand. The lullaby hummed softly in her throat, the same way her mother used to. And I knew. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning of finding Lila and finishing what my wife started. If you felt the fear, if your heart broke for my daughter, if you want to know what happens next, this journey is only beginning. We're going after the truth. We're following the song. We're going to find Lila and finish what my wife started. But I can't do that alone. I need you. Tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? Your support tells YouTube this story matters, this family matters, and that justice must be seen through to the end. And before you go, hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next chapter, the next twist, the next truth we uncover. Together, we're going to expose everything they tried to bury. Subscribe now, comment your city, and I'll see you in the next story.